Zulu was not just a sweeping historical epic, it was a controlled explosion of chaos, discipline, fear, and pride, forged under brutal real-world pressure. What audiences never saw were exhausted soldiers collapsing between takes, real weapons misfiring under African sun cultural tensions simmering off-camera, and a production stretched to breaking point by ambition, heat, and history. This video reveals 20 weird facts about Zulu. Stories of danger, obsession, and unexpected consequences that reshaped careers and reputations. Fact number 20. The battlefield you see on screen is not a constructed illusion. It is a real stretch of land near the actual Rorke's Drift location, chosen for its harsh similarity to history. The ground is uneven, unforgiving, and exposed. Cast members march and fight under relentless heat with little shade and no modern comforts. What audiences did not know is that dehydration and heat exhaustion become daily threats. Actors faint between takes. Crew members struggle to keep equipment functioning. It is not just acting under pressure, it is survival under pressure. Director Endfield insists on wide shots that demand full physical commitment. There are no shortcuts, no quick resets, not staged heroism, but bodies pushed hard again and again. It is not movie hardship. It is controlled endurance, and that physical toll bleeds directly into performances, giving Zulu its unmistakable sense of exhaustion and resolve. Fact number 19. Many of the Zulu warriors on screen are not trained performers. They are real members of local Zulu communities hired in large numbers to give authenticity. That choice brings power, but also tension. These men are reenacting a battle tied deeply to cultural memory and colonial trauma. What audiences did not know is that the set becomes a space of negotiation and respect. Rituals are observed, elders are consulted. The war chants carry real meaning. This is not background noise, it is identity in motion. At times the energy becomes overwhelming. The sheer force of thousands moving in unison rattles even veteran actors. It is not extras following marks. It is a living wall of sound and movement. The result is electrifying, but behind the camera it demands constant diplomacy to keep history honored rather than exploited. Fact number 18. Caine arrives on Zulu as a rising actor, not yet a star. What he faces is a role that could make or break him. The accent is unforgiving. The posture must project authority. The costume weighs heavily in heat. What audiences did not know is that Caine studies military manuals and Victorian discipline obsessively. He adjusts his stance, his walk, his stillness. He understands that leadership is conveyed through restraint, not volume. Off-camera, he battles self-doubt and physical fatigue. On camera, he delivers steel calm under siege. It is not a loud performance. It is a controlled one. That control becomes his signature for decades. Zulu does not just showcase Caine, it forges him. The film becomes a turning point where preparation meets pressure and produces a star. Fact number 17. The action in Zulu relies almost entirely on practical effects and real physical coordination. There is no digital safety net. Spears are real. Rifles fire blanks with thunderous force. Explosions shake the ground. What audiences did not know is how close danger constantly sits. Timing errors could mean serious injury. Cast and crew rehearse endlessly under the sun. Sweat blurs vision. Dust fills lungs. Yet the camera keeps rolling. The chaos looks cinematic because it is barely controlled. Not fake peril, but managed risk. The fear you see in eyes is not always acting. It is awareness. One missed step could end a career. That tension infuses every charge and every defense. It is not spectacle built in post. It is danger captured in the moment. Fact number 16. The film faces controversy even before release. Critics and commentators argue over its portrayal of imperial history. Is it celebration or critique? What audiences did not know is how deliberately the filmmakers walk a narrow line. Zulu warriors are shown as disciplined, brave, and formidable. British soldiers are shown as frightened, human, and flawed. This balance is intentional. It is not simple propaganda. It is an attempt to show respect amid conflict. Yet reactions erupt across cultures. Some praise its dignity. Others condemn its framing. The debate becomes part of the film's legacy. Zulu is not just watched, it is argued over. That tension keeps it alive in cultural memory. It is not comfortable history, it is contested history, and that discomfort gives the film lasting power. Fact number 15. Stanley Baker is not just the star of Zulu, he is its engine. What audiences did not know is how deeply involved he becomes behind the scenes. As producer, Baker fights for scale, authenticity, and seriousness. He clashes with budget limits, schedules, and even the physical environment itself. The heat drains him. The stress follows him back to his tent each night. Yet he pushes forward, driven by pride and personal vision. Baker believes this story must feel earned, not staged. That belief costs him energy, health, and peace of mind. On screen, his performance carries weight because off-screen, he carries responsibility. It is not just acting under fire, it is leadership under pressure. Baker later admits the film takes more out of him than expected. Zulu gives him legacy, but it also leaves scars that never fully fade. Fact number 14. The famous defensive formations require military precision. Every movement must lock into place, or the illusion collapses. What audiences did not know is how often rehearsals break down from exhaustion alone. Men stumble, commands are missed, tempers flare. The heat turns patience brittle. Director Endfield refuses to simplify. He wants the choreography exact, not symbolic, but functional. The result is a strange transformation. Actors stop pretending to be soldiers and begin thinking like them. Instinct replaces performance. Fatigue sharpens focus. Fear enforces discipline. It is not rehearsal anymore. It is conditioning. By the time cameras roll, the formations feel real because they are real. The men move as one because they have learned that chaos is punished instantly. That discipline burns through the screen and anchors the film's realism. Fact number 13. The music that defines Zulu is not an afterthought. It is woven into the production identity early on. What audiences did not know is how strongly the cast responds to it even during filming. The rising chants echo across the location and change the emotional temperature of scenes. Actors describe feeling genuine unease when the sound builds. It is not background, it is psychological pressure. The score does not romanticize battle. It announces it. Each note feels like an approaching force. The music becomes a character that cannot be negotiated with. It shapes pacing, breath, and fear. Long before final edits, the tone is set through sound alone. Zulu does not just show conflict, it announces it like a storm you hear before you see. Fact number 12. Continuity becomes a quiet nightmare. Thousands of performers, dirt, sweat, blood, and costumes shift constantly. What audiences did not know is how hard it is to maintain visual logic. Spears break, uniforms tear, and bodies change position between takes. The assistant directors fight time itself. Resetting takes hours. The sun moves. Shadows betray edits. Endfield often chooses momentum over perfection. He knows that emotional truth matters more than visual purity. If energy is right, he keeps rolling. That decision gives the film its raw texture. Small inconsistencies exist, but they are drowned out by urgency. Zulu does not feel clean because war is not clean. The film chooses impact over polish, and that choice defines its power. Fact number 11. The psychological toll on performers lingers long after shooting ends. What audiences did not know is how many cast members struggle to shake the experience. The constant reenactment of death, noise, and pressure blurs lines between work and reality. Nights are restless. Dreams replay charges and screams. For some actors, Zulu is not just a role, but a lived ordeal. They do not simply remember scenes. They remember exhaustion, fear, and camaraderie. That bond becomes permanent. Decades later, reunions feel less like cast gatherings and more like veteran meetings. Zulu does not fade for those who made it. It imprints. The film ends on screen, but for many involved, the echo never fully stops. Fact number 10. By the midpoint of production, morale teeters on collapse. What audiences did not know is how close the shoot comes to shutting down entirely. Equipment failures stack up. Weather turns unpredictable. Tempers ignite without warning. Endfield keeps pushing, believing momentum is survival. Stanley Baker backs him publicly while privately absorbing pressure from financiers. The set feels like a siege of its own, not against an enemy, but against exhaustion, doubt, and time. And yet something strange happens. The struggle sharpens commitment. People stop complaining and start enduring. The film mirrors its own story, a small group holding ground against overwhelming force. If this moment grips you, go ahead and like and subscribe, because what comes next only deepens the chaos, and the consequences behind Zulu grow far heavier than anyone expected.
Fact number 9.
The rifles used on set are period accurate and unforgiving. What audiences did not know is how violently they behave even with blanks. Recoil bruises shoulders. Smoke clouds vision. The sound cracks through the air with startling force. Hearing protection is minimal by modern standards. Actors flinch not from fear but from shock waves. Each volley leaves ears ringing and nerves rattled. Reloading under heat and pressure becomes muscle memory. This is not theatrical gunplay. It is industrial noise and force. The cast learns to respect the weapons quickly. One mistake could mean injury or worse. That respect shows on screen. Every shot feels heavy, deliberate, and final. Not cinematic noise, but controlled violence that demands attention.
Fact number 8.
The production schedule stretches longer than planned. Days blur together. What audiences did not know is how isolation amplifies everything. The location is remote. Contact with the outside world is limited. The cast lives together, works together, and collapses together. Small conflicts grow larger in the heat. Small kindnesses feel enormous. Bonds form quickly and intensely. There is no escape valve, no easy distraction. That pressure cooker creates authenticity, but also fragility. Emotions sit close to the surface. When scenes demand fear, anger, or desperation, actors do not have to reach far. They are already there. Zulu benefits from this emotional closeness, but it also drains those involved. The film takes as much as it gives. Fact number 7. Endfield directs with precision, but also with empathy. What audiences did not know is how carefully he balances authority and trust. He listens to concerns but rarely changes course. He believes in preparation and commitment. His camera placements are deliberate, often distant, letting action play out without manipulation. This choice demands patience from cast and crew. There are no quick fixes, no coverage safety nets. Everyone must deliver or the moment fails. That pressure builds respect. Even when exhausted, the team understands the vision. Endfield does not shout for drama. He waits for it to emerge naturally. That restraint gives Zulu its measured tone. Not chaos for spectacle, but structure under stress. Fact number 6. When filming finally ends, relief mixes with disbelief. What audiences did not know is how unsure many involved feel about the result. The scale is massive, the tone is serious, the politics are sensitive. There is fear that the film will be misunderstood or rejected. Early reactions are cautious. Some expect controversy to drown it, but as previews roll, something shifts. Viewers respond to the discipline, the dignity, and the sheer human effort on screen. Zulu finds its audience not through shock but through respect. That response validates the hardship. It proves that endurance mattered. The film does not just survive production. It earns its place in history through sheer force of conviction. Fact number 5. The chants heard during the attacks are not cinematic inventions. What audiences did not know is that many are traditional war chants with real meaning and weight. Performers do not shout randomly. They follow rhythm hierarchy and call and response patterns passed down through generations. The sound is overwhelming, not because of volume alone, but because of unity. British actors describe the experience as unsettling, even frightening. The ground vibrates. The air feels charged. It is not acting against noise. It is standing before intention. That sonic force reshapes performances. Fear becomes instinctive. focus sharpens. Zulu does not manufacture tension through editing alone. It captures it live. The chants are not background texture, they are psychological weapons, and their authenticity gives the film an edge that cannot be replicated artificially. Fact number 4. The film quietly alters how war epics are staged going forward. What audiences did not know is how many later directors study Zulu as a blueprint. Wide-framing, disciplined movement and respect for opposing forces become reference points. Zulu proves that scale does not require chaos. Order can be just as thrilling. The influence stretches into modern cinema, often unnoticed. Films that emphasize formation, endurance, and restraint echo its choices. Zulu shifts expectations. It shows that tension can be built through repetition, patience, and structure. Not constant cutting, but sustained pressure. That approach reshapes how large battles are visualized for decades. The film becomes a silent instructor, teaching without announcing itself. Its legacy moves forward disguised as tradition. Fact number 3. For many involved, the film becomes a defining life event. What audiences did not know is how often cast members refer to it not as a job, but as an ordeal. Friendships formed under heat and strain last decades. Losses are felt deeply, triumphs are shared quietly. Zulu becomes a shared language among those who endured it. They remember moments no camera captured. Collapses, arguments, laughter, and dust. That emotional residue feeds the film's authenticity. You cannot fake shared hardship. It shows in glances, posture, and silence. Zulu carries that weight on screen, not through dialogue, but through presence. The film feels lived in because it is. Fact number 2. The portrayal of the Zulu forces challenges expectations of its era. What audiences did not know is how deliberate that choice is. The warriors are shown as strategic, disciplined, and courageous, not faceless threats, but organized fighters. This depiction sparks debate, but also earns respect. It pushes against simplistic narratives common at the time. Zulu dares to humanize both sides without flattening conflict. That balance is rare. It invites viewers to engage rather than consume passively. The film becomes more than entertainment. It becomes conversation. That choice ensures longevity. Zulu is revisited not just for spectacle, but for perspective. It asks questions without answering them fully, and that openness keeps it relevant. Fact number 1. When Zulu finally reaches audiences, its impact is immediate and lasting. What audiences did not know is how close it comes to being misunderstood entirely. Yet its sincerity cuts through. The film earns respect because it never winks at its subject. It commits fully. That commitment resonates. Careers change. Reputations solidify. The film stands as proof that ambition, discipline, and respect can coexist. Zulu is not remembered for tricks or trends. It is remembered for resolve, for holding ground creatively against enormous pressure. That is its quiet triumph. A film about endurance that endures itself. Bonus fact: what audiences almost never learn is that Zulu quietly reshapes how real history is remembered in the public mind. For many viewers, this film becomes the first and strongest exposure to the Battle of Rorke's Drift. That power carries responsibility. What the filmmakers did not anticipate is how deeply the imagery would replace textbooks. Veterans, historians, and descendants later acknowledge that the film becomes a reference point even when details differ from records. Not because it claims accuracy, but because it feels earned. The sweat, fear, and discipline communicate truth beyond dates. Zulu becomes memory, not just cinema. That is its strangest legacy. A movie born from exhaustion and risk ends up shaping how an entire event is emotionally understood. It does not overwrite history. It inhabits it. Zulu was never just a war film. It was endurance captured on celluloid. A story of people pushed until truth surfaced.